Very good. All right. So I'm Stephen Gary Peacock. Not Scuba Steve, but nonetheless Stephen Gary Peacock. I'm one of the owners of Scuba Steve's Dive Shop here in Tyler, Texas.
Okay. So let me ask you something. What were you doing before scuba diving?
Well, I had real jobs back in the day. I grew up in the restaurant business of all things. Worked for the Mazzio Bunch, Mazzio's Pizza. Worked for them for a very long time. Got out and owned my own restaurants for about 9 years. Just toiling away, feeding people pizza in East Texas. So as I was working in the pizza business, I became a scuba diver back in 1986. And didn't dive a lot. My kids needed clothes and food, so I worked a lot. So not much diving for me back then. But when they became grown and gone, that's when I came back to scuba, if you will, back in 2005 and started training, and the training never stopped. So I went all the way from open water to advanced to rescue to master diver to dive master. Worked as a dive master for a couple of years for the original owner of Scuba Steve's Dive Shop, Steve Lockhart. And then I became an instructor in '09 and worked with Billy Hunter. He was the second owner of Scuba Steve's Dive Shop. So Billy and I did the majority of the training while he owned the shop. And then Billy had some health issues and had to step away. So Christine and I purchased the dive shop, or kind of restarted the dive shop, if you will, in 2017. And we've been hard at it ever since.
Okay, thank you. So I got to ask you something. So have you always wanted to be a scuba diver?
Well, no. I didn't know what scuba was as a kid, and I wished I had. I learned how to dive, like I said, back in 1986, but I didn't dive a lot. It was just something a friend kind of got me into. Really didn't know much about it, so I didn't dive a lot. But when I came back to it, I just kind of fell in love with it, and I really came back to it and found a dive family associated with Scuba Steve.
Right.
So our dive shop is not just a retail and training facility. It's truly a group of people. So when I came back in '05 to this group of people, I really got into it, both because of the people as well as the activity. And so one thing just led to another. When I came back, I really didn't expect to be a dive professional. I just continued to train, continued to love it, and it just kind of evolved for me in that way.
That's good. I have one question to ask you. So what was your time at Scuba Steve's Aquatic Adventures?
My time?
Well, I mean, you're still here, but I mean, what was been the biggest experience for you?
The biggest experience? Becoming a dive master. When I became a dive professional back in '07, that'll always be the biggest benchmark or landmark, if you will, for scuba divers. When we cross over from it being just something we do for fun to something where we actually start working with other people and teaching them diving. That's why we all do it today. To watch people come into our activity, find out about it, kind of get the passion we all have for it, help foster that passion. It's a unique experience. That's the payment that we get, really, for what we do.
That's cool. So I want to ask you, when you came back in, what really got you to reopen the store?
Well, our shop was originally opened back in around 2002 or 2003 by Steve Lockhart. He was the first owner. And then, of course, Billy worked for Steve, and unfortunately, Steve had some health issues and had to leave. So Billy took over the shop, and that's, like I told you, that's when he and I did the majority of the training. So when Billy had some health issues, I was helping him with training, and at the time we were a part of Tyler Junior College's continuing education program. So it was really a sense of Billy coming to me saying, hey, do you want to continue that program at TJC? And so, I, of course, said yes, and we have to have a dive shop in order to do the training. It doesn't make any sense not to. So that's when Christine and I decided to reopen Scuba Steve's Dive Shop.
That's cool. I want to ask you some diving questions.
Yeah, ask away.
Do you need to be in shape to dive?
It's very helpful. Physical fitness albeit don't look at me very much, but, I'm 62 years old and had a few too many chicken fried steaks, but physical fitness is very important to diving. There's a lot of physiological issues that come up with diving. So physical fitness is very important. You don't have to be the second coming of Michael Phelps,
Right.
but you do need to be comfortable swimming in the water, swimming a certain distance. The swimming requirements for learning how to dive is a 10-minute tread or float, followed by a 50-yard swim, followed by a 13-yard underwater swim. So while that doesn't seem like a lot, folks really need to be comfortable in the water before they want to learn how to scuba dive.
Right. What's the deepest you ever dove?
The recreational limit for scuba diving for recreational scuba divers, which is myself and others, 130 feet. So I've slipped down on the Oriskany, which is an aircraft carrier sunk off Pensacola. I did go down to 146 feet momentarily, just for a moment, just to say I did it. The flight deck is sitting at 146 feet.
Right.
Go down there and touch it, come back up real quickly, because, the deeper we go, there are many different things that are at play that really restricts how deep we can dive.
Right.
So the recreational dive limit for recreational divers like myself and others, that's 130 feet.
Okay, so what was the experience like when you went that far? Like, did you think, like, I know it's different whenever you got to change your breathing. I know it's just like pressure and stuff, but what you thought was going to be?
Well, really there's not a lot of difference, to be honest with you. From the standpoint of you don't feel any more pressure at 130 feet than you do at 20 feet. Our bodies don't feel the pressure. So there's a couple of things at play. We're using air quicker due to a gas law called Boyle's Law. We're using our air much faster. So at 100 feet, it takes 4 times as much air to fill your lungs for a breath of air than it does at the surface. So the biggest thing about diving deep is how quickly we're using our air. We're using it very quickly. So we have to be very, very careful, make sure we plan our dive not to stay too long, and monitor our air supply. So that's really important. And then when people learn how to dive, they also learn about the bends, decompression sickness, which is basically in-gassing nitrogen in the tissues of your body. So the deeper we go, the faster that goes, and so that becomes problematic for divers in several different ways.
Goodness. You ever had an experience where that you didn't think you were coming back up?
Yeah, I did. And it's not, we always try to tell all of our divers, all of our new divers, that complacency is what really gets you into trouble. When you think, it's no big deal, I've done this 100 times. I've done this particular type of dive 100 times, no big deal. And complacency will get you into a lot of trouble very, very quickly. So I'm personally between 4,000 and 4,500 dives in my career, which is a lot, but people have a lot more, obviously. That's not that big of a deal. But my point is, as I became a diver with 1,000 dives and 1,500 dives, it's like, I've seen it all, I've done it all. Then that's where you let your guard down a little bit. So complacency really caused me to have a very, very bad dive one day. There's a saying amongst us divers that we can call a dive any point for any reason, no questions asked. If I'm just not feeling a dive, me and you show up to make a dive, and I'm just not feeling it, you're going to understand if I say, hey, this is not for me, this dive's not for me, I just don't feel right, for whatever reason. It could be you've got a lot on your mind. It could be just not feeling well. It could be just the little man sitting on your shoulder going, don't make the dive. It could be something like that. You're not sure, but it just doesn't seem right. So we have a rule in diving where we can call the dive at any reason for any time, right? That's our big rule. So we try to encourage our folks from going on dives where they just don't feel like it's right.
Right.
So for me, I had a dive where I had a lot on my mind. Probably should have made the dive in the beginning, but went ahead with the dive because I didn't want to disappoint others, and that's where you get into trouble.
I want to ask you, and what was the experience like? Did you just think you weren't coming back up? Was it more of like a out of body experience?
Yeah, so when you dive where we dove, and it was a very deep dive in a lake, so the conditions were very miserable. It's totally dark, very, very cold. A lot of equipment that I'm wearing to make the dive that I don't wear all the time on every dive. So there was a lot going on, and I just probably shouldn't have made the dive in the beginning. I shouldn't have ever started it. So as we dropped down in the water, there's another phenomenon that occurs called nitrogen narcosis, where the deeper you go, the nitrogen in the air that you're breathing becomes narcotic. It's like a laughing gas at the dentist, right? So as you go deeper and deeper and deeper, that can cause your mind to just play tricks on you and just do different things. So, it was an experience like that where I would suffer from nitrogen narcosis, dropping in the water, miserable experience, lost control. It was just a situation like that.
So I'm happy you made it through, man.
Yeah, man, it's all good. It's all good. I'm here. And training kicks in. When you get in different situations, like we train a lot for different scenarios and different things that happen to us while we're diving. So, believe it or not, when things get out of control, we revert back to our basic training, right? And you start doing things that you don't even realize you're doing, but they just come second nature. That's why we train basic skills so much and train other parts of diving. We're always training so that hopefully that day will never come again, right?
Right.
Where you get yourself into a situation that is out of control. And like I say, the reason that I came back from that dive was because of the way I had trained previously and the people that had trained me previously and the things that they had taught me. So, yeah, it all kind of comes back into play if you need it.
Right.
The key is not to ever need it, right?
Right.
The key is to keep everything under control.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, what's the best recommended techniques for diving?
Well, we teach recreational diving, and like I say, we're all recreational divers. So, above all, the main thing that you need to do is stay current on your basic skills. There's basic skills we teach everyone to be able to scuba dive, and that's getting the water out of your mask, recovering your regulator should it become dislodged from your mouth, sharing air with a buddy. They're just these basic skills are, again, the same thing that kind of helped me out. Those basic skills. That's the whole tenets of scuba diving. So it's not like you learn it once and then you never do those skills again. You do those skills repeatedly. You're always tuning up on those skills and performing those skills so that when you need them, they're nice and easy and everything just goes the way that you want it to go.
Yes.
But like muscle memory, like practice, like anything else, like athletics or anything else you do, scuba is really no different. We practice and practice and practice to where things are, muscle memory.
That's cool. I want to ask you something about the business side of this.
Yeah, sure.
So I want to ask you, what are the services offered?
Well, in our shop, Scuba Steve's Dive Shop, first and foremost, is a retail facility. So we sell scuba gear. We sell snorkeling gear. So first and foremost, we're a retail facility. And we also are a full line of training facility as well. We teach the NAUI certifying training agency's curriculum. NAUI stands for National Association of Underwater Instructors. So we are a 5-star training facility for NAUI, which is NAUI Worldwide, National Association of Underwater Instructors. That's our certifying agency.
I'm so happy you said, because I was going to ask you about that earlier, but I did not know how to say that word.
NAUI, N-A-U-I. Yeah, it's an act. It's the 4 letters associated with every training agency. There are 7 or 8 or maybe even 10 major training agencies around the world that teach scuba diving, and we are all governed by a training council. So we are all required to have certain components in our curriculum. According to this training council that kind of oversees all of those agencies. PADI being one and the biggest. Anybody that dives, I see PADI everywhere. While Patty's the largest, Nowie is probably the oldest. Nowie was formed back in 1958 in Southern California, when you could go to the sporting goods store and buy scuba gear and go diving in the ocean.
Right.
And so people were kind of hurting themselves, so they thought, yeah, maybe we should teach people some technique so they are safer as they go do this. It became very popular in Southern California. And that's kind of where Nowie was born, if you will. So we're now located in Tampa, Florida, is our headquarters for our training agency.
Do you go there often or no?
No. It's a small facility. I have really no need to go. They have representatives that come out and service us. So I don't really have to go there.
Okay, I want to ask you your rentals. Like, so people can come here and rent.
Yes, absolutely. And it's during the summer, my rental gear is very busy. We have been very busy with training. So most of our divers that learn how to dive, when it becomes apparent that they're going to become scuba divers and really enjoy it, they're going to purchase their own gear.
Right.
So having your own gear is a safety issue. Familiarization with your gear. It's your gear. You know where you have everything put, how you have it all situated.
Right.
So being familiar with your gear is very much a safety issue. Plus, when folks purchase their scuba gear from me, I'm going to provide service on that gear. So we are qualified service technicians for the lines of gear that we sell. So someone, when they purchase a set of regulators, are going to bring those back to me, and I'm going to service them annually for them. Look over their BC. Look over all of their gear.
So they can you'd have to pay for that, sir. Or they just bring it in.
No, they bring it in. When they purchase gear from me, I provide service for them, and it's free parts as long as they register their gear, bring their gear back to me. The annual service is all free.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
So what is the best equipment for deep sea dives?
Well, the deeper you go, like I told you, the key on the deeper we go is the whole air thing, right?
Right.
And really, we don't change our gear from 30 feet to 130 feet. The only thing we might do is carry an extra bottle with us that has a redundant air supply, a redundant first and second stage. You might carry that. But I personally don't, because if you're my buddy, I'm staying with you, right? So you're my redundant, and I'm your redundant air supply. So I believe in me and you planning a dive to a certain depth, and there's also calculations you learn about how quickly you're using your air. It's called a SAC rate, surface air consumption. So the one thing that you and I both know is what's our rate at which we breathe. How well do we match up? Who's going to run out of air first? So we plan our dive according to who is using their air the fastest, and we simply go down, stay this depth, come back up, stay this depth, and work our way back up. So a good dive plan is really more important than any type of extra equipment that we can really have, because our gear is our gear. It really doesn't change. Like I told you before, we're recreational divers, so we have 0 to 130 as our range. So the standard configuration should be acceptable in that range. Like I say, the only thing you might want to carry is a redundant air supply because of the fact that we're using the air so fast.
I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to ask you about what was your experience like becoming a dive master?
Yeah, so it was incredible. It's when you are just a regular diver and a recreational diver, and you want to become a professional diver, dive master is the first step for us. This is the first step for you. When you say, I want to become a dive professional, you're going to go through the dive master program, and it challenges you mentally. It challenges you physically, especially if you're a little bit older like me. We have a lot of people that come to us in their 40s, 50s, even 60s wanting to become a dive master. The physical requirements are very difficult. So very physically challenging, but very mentally challenging. A lot of information to learn. you're assuring someone else's safety. You're helping someone become a scuba diver. You're the right hand of the instructor when you're a dive master in East Texas. But when you're a dive master in the Caribbean, you're taking a group of divers and you are taking them in the water and showing them around. You're leading them around on a dive.
Right.
So it is a great responsibility to be a dive master, to assure the safety of others. And while we are not, it's kind of debatable when you talk about how much I assure your safety, but a dive master really feels like they are responsible for this group of people.
Right.
So the duties, a little more to get into than you and I could get into right now, but while they may not be just there to assure everyone's safety, they really feel responsible for everybody. So, but the training itself is so vast. It takes about 6 months to become a dive master of nonstop training, being in front of new students, leading dives, learning how to navigate in the water, learning about the physics of diving, just all encompassing things associated with diving that person's going to be getting an experience with or going to be learning about. So it's quite a process. It's a very difficult process, I'll have to say. That's why that's the one certification I'm most proud of. I currently hold the certification of instructor trainer. So I teach instructors. But for me, Dive Master was one of my most proudest moments when they said, hey, you are Dive Master. And there's another thing about becoming a Dive Master as well, is you go through this training, and at the end of it, your trainer has one question for you. And that is, can I trust you with my loved one? And it's not a yes or no answer. It's kind of what that person's been through as a dive master just kind of comes out, right? We call it the loved one concept. That's kind of, it started out back in the day as something that was really only associated with our training agency, NAUI. Other agencies have since adopted some version of it, I think I've seen, but it's really it's really the main tenet associated with training as a dive professional with NAUI. Is, can I trust you with my loved one? That's pretty powerful, right?
It is powerful.
So you go through this training and then someone looks you in the eye and asks you that question. It's a very emotional question because you've been through it. I mean, you've been through it.
Right.
You've had someone challenge you in ways that, very difficult. You're not sure you can overcome them. And it molds you into a different person. Everyone starts out as one person over here, but at the end of it, it's just amazing what kind of person they end up being, how they change. Because everybody has to change something about themselves to become a dive professional.
Right.
They're weak in this way, or they're not quite as strong in this way. And the process just molds you into a very unique individual at the end. And you ask any instructor out there, and they'll tell you, or any instructor trainer or course director or whatever, they'll tell you they're most proud of their dive master, where they entered that program and came out on the other side. So it's amazing. Really cool.
Well, I'm proud of you.
Yeah, hey, thanks. I appreciate it, man.
What's the one bit of advice you would give someone doing the Dive Master program? What's one advice you would give them?
Get a good mentor. Yeah. Mentorship is absolutely where it's at. You cannot go through that program and just achieve everything by yourself. You have got to have someone that's been there, because there are dark days when you go through that training. There are days when you don't think you want to do it anymore. There are days when you think you can't do it. You hit a wall with a particular skill or something, and you just cannot get over it. You don't fully understand what they're expecting you to understand. The mentor makes all the difference in the world. The person that's been through it already, right?
Right.
So they are the ones to encourage those guys and gals. They're the ones to help them. And the program is set up like that very specifically for that reason. The trainer doesn't give the dive master candidate all the answers. One of the most important things is, where's that candidate going to get those answers? You just can't go out and Google stuff, to get you through. So you're always looking at all these different aspects of trying to get through the program. But having a good mentor, having someone to encourage you, someone to help you, someone that's been there, that's where it's at, right? And never, never, ever quit. Even on the day, because I had lots of days when where I thought I left the training and I thought that's enough of that. I don't need that. I don't need that. I didn't think I needed it, but I did need it. So
what was the driving force that made you keep coming back?
My mentor. I had a great mentor, guy that had been through it. Good friend of mine, the previous owner of the shop, Billy Hunter. I mean, if it wasn't for him, I'd have not made it through. Simple as that. I mean, I can't tell you how many times he encouraged me and talked to me and, just kept me going. So he was my mentor and made all the difference in the world.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, what are your personal hobbies?
This is about it. I grew up playing golf all my life, and I just don't, scuba, when you get into scuba, especially the degree that I have, it is our life. I have started, the last couple of years, started sailing of all things. I want to marry sailing and diving in together, and we have a group going in December where we're going to go on a catamaran sailboat for a week and sail around and dive. So sailing has become something that I've really become interested in. I grew up always wanting to learn how to fly. I've got this always wanted to learn how to fly, always. And never made financial sense for me, and when I was young and I probably could have, got into the military and gone that route and maybe done it. I wasn't mature enough at the time and had other issues. So as I grew up, it never made financial sense for me to do it. But sailing is close to flying, right? A lot of the same concepts. And scuba diving, there's a lot of very similar concepts to scuba diving to flying as well. So in a weird way, I'm kind of scratching that itch of that I've never had an opportunity to do. So, yeah.
I just wanted to ask you about your, so when you wanted to get into sailing, did you just see a boat one day, or did you just knew in your body when you woke up and said, I wanted to do sailing?
Sailing, it's been something that my brother-in-law had a little sailboat back a long time ago, and I went out on the local lakes and reservoirs and sailed that thing. Didn't know what I was doing, didn't have a clue, but loved it, but didn't have a clue. So, but I really enjoyed it when we did it. So, 2 or 3 years ago, Christine and I just talked about, sailing and thought it would be cool. She had done some sailing in her past, and I thought, well, that's cool. So we went down to Kemah and took some sailing classes down there at one of the sailing schools, and just love it. I just absolutely. There's something about having the mainsail up and full of wind and just cruising along with no sound, no motor. It's just amazing to me. I don't know. Just using the environment the way we do, kind of like in scuba diving, it's kind of the same way. But just really, really cool. And it's something I want to continue to learn more and more about. So when I turned 60, I became a cave diver, and never thought I would do that. So as you get older, I guess you have these itches that you want to scratch. And so sailing is my itch right now that I really enjoy scratching. And to figure out how to put those together with scuba diving and sailing is cool. So I'm going to figure it out.
So I'm excited for you. For you. I wanted to ask you, do you have a work-life balance?
Work-life balance? No. This is work and life and everything. So,
I believe it.
Yeah. When you own a dive, well, first off, work. This is not work. Let me back up.
I'm about to say.
Yeah.
This is more of a passion.
Yeah, well, let me tell you, if you would have helped us unload the tanks from this past weekend, I mean, there's a lot of physical work to it. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
I mean, and during training season, it's 7 days a week. There's no day off. There's no, I'm going to take tomorrow off. Not during training season. So for about 4 months of the year, we go at it pretty much 7 days a week. But it is not work. I've had real jobs. I told you, I grew up in the restaurant business. That's work. Those poor guys and gals, that's work. I never thought I would get out of that business, to be honest with you. You get into that business, it's hard to get out. I never thought I would. I thought I would just always toil away in that business. But having the opportunity to get out is a true blessing, right? And
you took the leap.
I did. when you get that leap, you better take it. When that door opens up, you better run through it to get to where you want to go.
Right.
So that's kind of the way I've always felt about life. Period. Is just when a door opens, that's pretty much when a door that you need to look through, if not go through.
Right.
I'm not one to beat the door down. I'm one, if an opportunity is right, it kind of unfolds in front of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and this has been one of those opportunities is just unfolded in front of us. Mm-hmm. And we are truly blessed. We are very busy. Our dive family grows. We have the opportunity to bring our some of our old family members back in. It's just, we're blessed. That's all there is to it with our business.
I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you and your business. Like, you grow a shop, man. It's a lovely shop you have. And I see all the pictures and people up here you have.
Yeah, and you look around at the pictures, and that's where it's at. Because that's what we do. It's a people business. We swim around, look at fish, and we scuba dive, and we do all this, that, and the other. But at the end of the day, we're in a people business.
Right.
And that's what makes it all worth it. When these people are at the end of the weekend, after they're training, they're excited. They're going on a trip. They want more training. They want to purchase gear. They're just all excited. So that's what we do.
I'm excited. I got one more question for you. What's your future plan for the next 5 years?
Who knows? Hopefully, if we stay healthy enough, continue to train, continue to travel, continue to dive, continue hopefully to sail more. So we've got a lot of things set up in front of us, but it's all contingent upon, of course, our health. So we're not getting any younger. So as long as we hold up, we'll continue to do what we've been doing. Why would you want to do anything else? Like I say, I get up every morning, 6:30, and I'm excited for the day. And I'm excited to come up here. I'm excited to see who's going to call today. Who am I going to meet today? Who's going to walk through the door and want to learn how to scuba dive? So, it's a blessing. But it's all contingent upon our health and being able to be healthy and do the things that we want to do. So we have to make sure and take care of ourselves.
Right. All right. Well, thank you so much, sir.
You bet. Thank you. Enjoyed the visit.
Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do you think it went?
I don't know.
Sounded good on this end.
What do you think?
I think it went well.
Good.
I enjoyed it. I'm sitting here thinking, like, it's going to be wonderful. I feel I asked you all the right questions.
Yeah, your questions were good. Your questions were a lot of what people that don't scuba dive wonder. That's really, and that's what we do. We answer questions for people that don't understand scuba. Yeah, I thought it was fine.
Well,
It was fine. I appreciate the opportunity to sit down with you and visit and do it.
Thank you. I always like to ask, get pointers and maybe different questions I could have asked and stuff like that. So I feel like there's always room to grow when you're doing kind of stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully you learned something today.
I did. Like I said, I didn't know nothing about the carbon dioxide. And then especially with the, when you go diving down to certain points, you got to, tell me if this is true or not. When you go down, you can't just come straight back up.
Oh, no. You have to come up very slowly. And you have to stop. Now, remember I told you we're recreational divers, 0 to 130.
Correct.
So as long as we stay, and there are established limits for how deep we can go and how long we stay. Mm-hmm. And as long as we stay within those limits, at any point you can safely ascend all the way to the surface. But you have to do it slow. The whole key in scuba is everything is slow. And like I say, it's just all about that gas coming into our system. It goes to our tissues, and then it comes back out. So it's just like if you had a soda bottle and you knocked it on the floor. How would you take the lid off? Slow, right?
Right.
Because if you just pop it off, it's going everywhere, isn't it?
Correct.
So it's the same way with you coming up in scuba. If you come up real fast, that gas is coming out real quick. It's uncontrolled release of that gas. And that's what the bends is. That's where you get yourself hurt.
I always wondered about saying, also, I didn't know you had to calculate how much. I thought you can just fill the gas tank up full of air and just go down there and swim.
Well, that's what a lot of people think. But like I was telling you, the deeper you go, the quicker you use the gas. So we all have a rate, cubic feet per minute. We all have a rate at which we use gas. And we use that to plan a deep dive. That way we don't run out. We know how deep we can go. We know how long we can stay there. we know when we should come back up. So we're keeping track of all that while we're diving.
Right. Sir, it's been a wonderful experience.
Well, I appreciate you coming by and having the opportunity to visit with you about it.
Oh, no
Thanks
problem, man.
Thanks for thinking about me as far as a visit.
Oh yeah, man. I knew we were gonna get it, man. I know life happens, so I was
Yeah, it does. It does.